truth, this is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it, it's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken. If you need truth, this is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it, it's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken.
And shalom to each and every one of you. So glad to have you with us today. This is yours truly, Apostle V.W. Jones Sr. right here on the Bible Book Club. We are here today to share a little bit about what the word has to say and what the word means and is to you and I together. Well, let's take the opportunity now to have a word of prayer so we can get ourselves started and let the faith of our God shine through our lives in this hour. Well, here we go. Let's pray. Father, we thank you. We love you. We adore you. We magnify and exalt you. We thank you for another opportunity to bring your word before your people and we before your word. So now in this moment of time, be with us, be in us, be through us and toward us for your name's sake and for your praise. There is none like you in all the earth. We bless, exalt, and extol you for who you are and why you are. Now, this day, your place, your plan, your purpose for us, be real. A state and a place where we see you, understand you, more importantly, you see us and understand us, that we can bring your name before a people today for your honor, for your glory, and for your praise. We thank you, we love you, and we adore you. In the mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach, we pray it and we say it. Amen. Well, good to have you all today. It's an honor and joy to be with you and sitting here before you. We want to just make sure we take opportunity to let you know that today's Bible Book Club is going to be based on the fact that we need to learn his word in a sincere way and in truth. The Bible lets us know that when we reason together in his word, we then bring glory to his name and honor to him for who he is in our lives. So let us come together. We want to reason together in his word. Many people don't get that, but without reasoning together in his word, we don't have his word working on our behalf in the world we live. So take that opportunity. Everybody always look for the chance and the peace that rests with knowing his word, understanding his purpose and his plan for your lives, that we might be able to embrace him in full truth and full prosperity and full understanding of who he is and why he is in our lives. Well, one more thing we want to make sure you know that we don't do this for likes. This is a kingdom life issue. We are here for the kingdom and the kingdom of Elohim, not social media likes. We're here just to read the writ, get to know his word, understand his purpose and plan for us as everyday believers in his kingdom. And we want to walk in that way. So remembering too that we're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for what you know as the proceeding word. Now, the proceeding word is a process where we teach the word from what he would have us to know and do. Now, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays are what the proceeding word are about. Then Wednesday nights, we have a 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, our Bible studies. And then tonight, Bible Book Club. Tomorrow, we'll be here for our Sabbath service or Sabbath worship, our Sabbath conversations. We are here from sundown on Friday till sundown on Saturday, and we will be bringing forth the word. After Sabbath, we also go into our tomorrow after Sabbath service. We do a lot of teaching from the Bible, from the Torah in the course of a week. So get ready. Torah is loading right now. We want you to just be aware of these things. And remember, we're here for the purpose in the kingdom of Elohim. One last thing. We are in a 31-day challenge. That 31-day challenge is from the Rosh Kingdom Ministries. Of course, I sit over that. It covers and is covered by VWJ Ministries. But for 31 days, for the month of January, we are reading the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verses 5 through 9. We read this every day before we start our work day, before we start our day. And we read it to follow its instructions because it's going to make me a better person, make you a better person when we do such. And remember, we don't do this for likes. We do this for kingdom life. Let's get started. Let the word of Elohim speak to us with clarity so we understand what it is we're doing here in these hours and in these days. And let's get into the Bible that we need to know it, understand it, and embrace it. Well, Here we go. I want to get started with you now. In the book of Genesis, chapter number 41. Let's get started with this right away. Genesis chapter number 41. Hey there, everyone's coming in on our YouTube and Facebook channels. Good to have you. Clubhouse, what it do? What's up? What's popping? What's crack-a-lack? Okay, I'm sorry, my bad. I got carried away. My fault. Moderators, can you please moderate? Never mind, I got it. Here we go. All right. Moderators, I need you to help me with the moderating and moving forward with everyone there on Clubhouse. Thank you so much. And very few of you there, but we're going to get started and get going anyway. Genesis chapter and number 41. We were leaving off in that chapter 41. We want to read this. And I'm going to push through because we're going to stop at verse number 45 because that's what start at 45 because that's where we ended. But I'm going to take you through some pieces very quickly and skim through this and pick up at verse number 45. Verse 1, let's skim through it together. Ready? And it came to pass at the end of the full year, Pharaoh dreamed the dream, and behold, he stood by the river. Verse 2, behold, there came up out of the river 7 well-favored kine. Verse 3, and behold, the 7 well-favored kine came up after the river, and the ill-favored kine, and they all stood by the brink of the river. Verse 4, the ill-favored and the lean flesh did eat up the 7 well-favored. Verse 5, he slept and dreamed the second time, and behold, the 7 ears of corn, and behold, the 7 ears of corn. Behold, verse number 5, behold, the 7 ears of corn came up on one stalk. They were good. Verse 6, and then there were 7 thin ears blasted with the east wind that came up later. Verse 7, the 7 ears devoured, the 7 thin ears devoured the 7 full ears. And then Pharaoh woke up again. Verse 8, it came to pass in the morning, he was troubled. So he called for his magicians. Verse 9, then he spake to his chief butler. And Pharaoh then spake the chief butler unto Pharaoh, saying, I do remember my fault this day. Verse 10, Pharaoh was wroth. And then Pharaoh made the statement. He said very clearly, he was very wroth. He said to his servant, listen, you had a servant me put together with the captain of the guards, both me and the chief baker. Verse 11, we're in Genesis 41. 11, Bereishit 41:11. He said, we dreamed a dream together in one night. We dreamed each man according to the interpretation of his dream. Verse 12, and there was a young man who was a Hebrew. Verse 13, it came to pass, he interpreted our dreams. Verse 14, Pharaoh sent and called for Usef, and they brought him up hastily out of the dungeon. They shaved him. They changed his raiment. And then he came in unto Pharaoh. Verse 15, and Pharaoh said unto Usef, I have dreamed a dream, and there is none that can interpret it. And I have heard say of you that you can understand a dream and interpret it. Verse 16, Usef answered Pharaoh, saying, it is not mine, it is not in me to do it, but Elohim shall give Pharaoh an answer of peace, of shalom. Verse 17, and Pharaoh said unto Usef, in my dream I beheld and stood upon the bank of the rivers. Verse 18, I'm going to skim through this. Verse 18 says, and behold, there came up came about the river 7 kine, which were fat-fleshed and well-favored. Verse 19, behold, 7 other kine came up. They were poor and ill-favored. All right. Verse 20, the lean, ill-favored, ate the fat. Verse 21, and when they had eaten them up, the ill-favored were still there at the beginning, so I woke up. Verse 22, and I saw in my dream, and behold, 7 ears came up. They were stalked. They were full, they were good. Verse 23, and the 7 ears that were withered, blasted with the east wind, they sprung up after them. Verse 24, the thin ears devoured the good ears, told it to my magicians, and none could declare it to me. Verse 25, Usef then said unto Pharaoh, the dream of Pharaoh is one dream. Elohim have showed Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good kine represent 7 years. The 7 good ears represent 7 years, and the dream is one. The 7 thin and the ill-favored kind that came up after them, they are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blasted with the east wind shall be the 7 winds of famine, 7 years of famine. Verse 28, this is the thing which I have spoken unto Pharaoh. What Elohim is about to do, he is now showing Pharaoh. Verse 29, he's speaking to Pharaoh like he's third party. He says in 29, he says, behold, there's going to come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. All right, pay attention. There are going to be 7 years of great plenty all throughout the years of the land of Egypt. I'm in chapter 41, Genesis 41:29. Now we're going to verse 30. Genesis 41:30. If you're coming in on screen, you can look at us on VW Ministries. YouTube and Facebook to have the Bible displayed while we're reading it. Verse number 30 says, and there shall arise after those 7 years, 7 years of famine, and all the plenty shall be forgotten in the land of Egypt, and the famine shall consume the land. Verse 31, and the plenty shall not be known in the land by reason that the famine following it, for it's going to be very grievous. Verse 32, for that the dream was doubled unto Pharaoh twice, it means the thing is established by Elohim, and Elohim will shortly bring it to pass. Verse 33, now therefore, let Pharaoh look out a man, discreet and wise, and set this man over the land of Egypt. Verse 34, let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the fifth part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. Verse 35, and let them gather all the food of those good years that come, and lay up corn under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities. Verse 36, and that food shall be store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, that the land does not perish throughout the famine years. Verse 37, again, Genesis 41, verse 37. Look at what it says. And the thing was good in the eye of Pharaoh and the eyes of all of his servants. So Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such a one as this man? A man whom the spirit of Elohim is? Verse number 39. Pharaoh then said unto Usef, for as much as Elohim has shown you all of this, there is none so discreet and wise as you are. Thou shalt be over my house according to my word. All my people shall verse 40 again, 41:40, Genesis 41:40, verse 40. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto my word shall all my people be ruled. Let me read it again because I read it wrong. Thou shalt be over my house, said Pharaoh to Usef. According to your word, Usef, shall all my people be ruled. Only in the throne will I be greater than you, Mr. Prisoner who was a slave. Verse 41, Pharaoh said unto Usef, see, I have set you over the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh took off his ring from his hand and put it on Usef's hand, and arrayed him in a vesture of fine linen, and put a gold chain about his neck. And he made him to ride in the second chariot which he had, and they cried before him, bow the knee. And he made him ruler over all the land of Egypt. Verse 44, Pharaoh said unto Usef, I am Pharaoh, and without you, Usef, shall no man lift up his hand or foot in all the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh called Usef's name Zaphanath-Paneah, and he gave him a wife, Asenath, the daughter of Potiphar, priest of On. And Usef went out over all the land of Egypt. And Usef was 30 years old when he had stood before Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. And Usef went out from the presence of Pharaoh and went throughout all the land of Egypt. All right, we stopped at verse 45 on our last go through. So let's look at this right now as a group of individuals. Did anybody find anything interesting in that passage? This is, in fact, a Bible book club where you are going to read passages of the writ. Then we're going to discuss those passages of the writ. So my question would be, did anybody find anything in that? So if you're online, give a quick text. Give me the verse you want to talk about before we go into verses 47. And if you are in Clubhouse, take the microphone that has been provided you. We're sending it down to you. We're inviting you up on the stage. Put the microphone off of mute, say your name, and we'll give you opportunity to share something. But there should be at least three things right here between verses, 15 through 30 through 42 that should be of some interest that was not discussed on last week, not brought up. I'm only going to limit it to 3. There are many, many more, but let's see. Do you guys see anything in this passage that should be real? while you're thinking, let me give you something I'll throw in for free. The first thing that I realized is that we've always talked about Usef being the one who was put in the pit, and then he was placed in, you know, the prison, and then he went to the palace. The three P's, PPP, right? And so it's been a great sermon for many, many, many years, and many people have preached it from the pit to the prison, to the palace, and God would do great things. I just want to really take a moment to look at this and not reverse engineer it, but really structure this so we can get an understanding of it. Hey there, Tiffany, good to see you today. Kat, good to be with you. How are you today? Brenda D, miss you, lady. Good to have you today with us. And Dr. Stewart, good to see you as well. So let's look at this real quick. I just want to make sure we look back up here, verse 35. I will come down to verses 42 through 46 in a moment, but I want to look up here at what happened here. Look at verse number 34. Verse number 32. All right. 33. Now, verse 33. Look at verse 3. Look at verse 33. I'm going to put it on the screen, shorten and mindful it, but I want you to see it. Now, therefore, let Pharaoh look out over and find a man who is discreet and wise, and let Pharaoh set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the fifth part of the land of Egypt during the 7 years of plenty. Verse 35 says, and then Pharaoh let that people gather all the food of those 7 good years to come, and then lay up corn under the guard, under the hand, under the authority of Pharaoh, and let them keep the food in the cities, basically build silos, build storage places for the corn and the grain. Verse 36, and that food shall be for store to the land against the 7 years of famine, which shall be in the land of Egypt, because this dream hit you twice. This is going to happen quick. It's going to go down. So you need to start storing up from these 7 years that we're about to get plenty, and then we'll have enough in the 7 years of the famine. This way, Egypt can survive this impending famine. You're going to lose cattle. You're going to lose grain. You're going to lose corn. So this is how you store it up to save the cattle and to save the grain, so that people have something, in fact, to eat, at least the bread and the corn. Verse 37 says, and this thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of all of Pharaoh's servants who were sitting there watching this thing go down. Here's a point I want to make sure we look at. While Pharaoh was having this problem with the interpretation of dream, because as you found out in verses 6 through 8, he was having the dream and he asked his magicians, his spiritualists, his gurus of faith, to come and tell him, hey, what's this dream? It's bothering me. It woke me up in the middle of the night. I got this corn, fat, then skinny corn, eaten up by the skinny corn, the fat corn was, and I woke up. Next thing I know, I'll go back to sleep. And now all of a sudden there is these fat cows, and then there's these skinny cows, and the MAGA cows, the skinny cows eat the fat cows. Now the cows is gone. I woke up and I'm sweating. I don't know what to do, but why am I panicking? My blood pressure is all high. So you magicians, you wizards, the people that I got in my circle of faith and all these demigods we serve, y'all go find out what the message that the gods are telling us. None of them can come back and tell him. Now, I want to see if y'all can really rock with me on this and remember and see what the writ is trying to give us an instruction of here, because this, I think, will bless many of you. I know it's blessing me right now, and I want to take my time and share it, but I'm also getting excited because I understand Usef. Now, when Pharaoh is asked his people in his camp to give him insight of this phenomena, they can't. Though they're supposed to be spiritualists, they're concocting witchcraft, they're concocting little, necromancing, and they can't interpret this dream. So what I'm trying to tell you all again, as you've heard me say all many a times, just don't give your dreams to everybody, because everybody can't interpret your dreams. Your favorite prophet can't interpret your dream. Your favorite pastor can't interpret. Your favorite evangelist, missionary can't interpret your dream. Your favorite whoever supposed seer your favorite seer can't interpret your dream. Elohim determines who does and who will. Even the one who does interpret dreams can't interpret his own dreams. Now, I showed you that earlier when Usef had his dreams, showed them to his dad, and they couldn't figure out what it was. Now, you and I understand it because we're looking at the writ in hindsight. We can see Usef had a dream, made his brothers hate him. Usef had another dream, made his dad mad at him, added more hate to his brothers. And then he ends up almost dead, sold off as a slave, into an actual pit, placed into the prison. Now he is standing before Pharaoh in the palace. Now, we understand that even this man who is interpreting a dream right now in the palace could not interpret the dream before he went to the pit. Not that dream Pharaoh had, but his own dream. You and I know Usef's dream because of hindsight. But while all of this was going on, Usef went to his spiritual covering, his daddy, and his mom. Oh, not his mother. His mother was dead. His father, who was Israel. I mean, Usef's dad is Jacob, is Israel. Clearly, this is the spiritual man in the century, right? Okay. So Jacob, his dad, Israel, his dad cannot interpret his dream. Now, what do you mean? Well, I want y'all to catch this and stop running your dreams to everybody who's supposed to be in a collar, or as you say in Christendom, under a cloth, and doing all these different things, because they can't interpret dreams. They can tell you what they think, but that interpretation comes from Elohim. It doesn't come from that degree that they got from seminary, Bible college, or theological studies in school. It comes from the spirit of Elohim. He gives you a word of knowledge. He gives you the spirit of prophecy. He puts it on you. He takes it off of you as he wills, because he knows the will of the Father. But just because you go to church and you fast and you pray and you stole Daniel's fast at the beginning of the year and you did it for 21 days and now you're supposed to be so holy, don't mean you can interpret people's dreams. Be careful you don't become a necromancer in the kingdom. Now, let me put this out here so we can understand this. So now when Usef has a dream, he takes his dream to his older brothers, who are the sons of Jacob, who has had the hand of literally angels touch him, smote him in his thigh, and Usef's dad, Israel, his dad is in fact Israel. You know, we say it all the time. He is the God, Yahweh is the God of Avram, Yitzhak, and Jacob. I mean, that's pretty powerful. Jacob, who is Israel, should be able to spiritually help his son, his beloved son, his begotten son of his beloved, the son of his heart, the one he made the coat of many colors for, his ace. He can't interpret his dream. I'm taking time here to make you guys understand. Stop giving your dream to everybody, because everybody, no matter what their title, can interpret your dream. So even the person who interprets dreams originally and organically by Elohim can't interpret her own. So just because you interpret dreams for somebody else, don't mean you can interpret your own dream. Again, proof, Usef dreams 2 dreams, takes him to Israel, not the nation, the man who Elohim has blessed. He can't even interpret the dream. He hears a dream. He like, oh, what? Me and your mom supposed to bow down to you? What? You supposed to be the sun, and your mom is the moon, and we gonna bow down to you? Is that what you saying to us? The brothers, oh, we older than you, so my sheaf is supposed to bow down to your sheaf, and all of our sheaves gonna bow down to you. you little privy little brat. You and your dad get on my nerve. Yeah, I know he's my daddy, but y'all get on my nerve. You know what I mean? It's like they can't interpret the dream because they're saying what they feel, not realizing this ain't about feelings. This is about what Elohim is doing to provide for them and to preserve them in time to come. They can't see, they can't interpret it because they are not connected with the spirit of Elohim. They are still trying to do the things that they want to do. Usef can't even really interpret it. Like, Dad, what this mean? Brothers, what this mean? He went to them in confidence. What does this dream mean? My sheaves, our sheaves, we're in the field, we gather sheaves, my sheaf stands up, your sheaves bow down. You always did think you was better than us just because your dad gave you that coat of many colors. All right, my bad. Don't hate me. My bad. Okay, I don't even know what it means. It's just a dream. Y'all forget about it. He gets another dream. He then takes that to his father. Father, the sun, the moon, and the stars. They're there. And then they all bow down to me. What am I, the sun? Your mom is the moon, and your brother's the stars, and we bow down to you. So they don't even know how to interpret the dream. Guess what? He don't know how to interpret the dream. However, a dream that's not his, 3 separate dreams that are not his, he's able to interpret them just like that. The reason I talk like this because I'm a lot like Usef. If you tell me your dream, it just comes to me. I hate even telling you all that. It just comes to me, but I can't interpret my own dreams. So what I'm trying to get you all to understand so we have a better relationship with the Father is that you realize some of you have been giving away and messing up instructions Elohim have been giving you because you have been caught and swooned under this ideal of spirituality and what do you call that? I don't want to say necromancing because I'll be disrespectful to some, but you've been enticed, you've been hypnotized under the music and the word is on my tip of my tongue. So you think because your pastor's your pastor and your favorite preacher's your favorite preacher and your bishop over your church is able to interpret your dream. And dear heart, I don't care what their title is. I don't care what church they founded, what college they founded, and you cannot go to a school of dreams to have dreams interpreted. You can't go to a school of prophets and have them interpret your dream. Now, there may be a prophet in that group that can. There may be a person in your next door neighbor that can. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is everybody who is, in fact, reading the Bible, living the church life, a bona fide professing Christian can't read and can't understand your dreams. And sometimes you all give your information out to people who don't mean you any harm, but the enemy of your faith is listening to the instructions. And as you tell them, I want you to catch this. I want y'all to catch this. Can I help some of y'all right now? If I can help y'all, just give me just say help me.
Help me. Help me. Help me.
I want y'all to get this.
Help me.
Do y'all notice that when you get a dream or a vision, does God come down and speak? Does Elohim come down? Does Adonai come down and speak in vision or in dream out loud? And so let's just put this to task. All of us are on this broadcast. Some of you on audio, some of you on visual. And so let's just say the ominous voice of Elohim would come down right now and give me my dream. Jones, I want you, there's going to be 7 corns good and full and 7 corns thin and maga, and they're going to eat up the other thick 7 corns, and the 7 thin corns are not even going to pick up weight. I want you to know that's going to happen. Now, all of us just heard that. Is that how Elohim gives out dreams or visions? No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. Here's why this is important for you to understand. Because what he does when he gives you a dream or even a daydream, i.e. a vision, you are usually in contemplation and meditation. Some of you think that your fasting puts you in that condition of being, I dare say, mesmerized, but in your meditating state of being, you are now in that state of meditation, and he gives you a vision like he gave Peter on the roof before he showed him the white sheet. Peter was meditating on the word, and he went into a slumber, and he was given a vision. Now, here is the catch. The vision is given in his mind. The sheet didn't come out of the sky. The sheet came out of the sky in his head. Now watch this. So that vision given Peter wasn't broadcast to everybody that was, on the next roof over and anybody else in the town. Everybody didn't see a white sheet come out of the heavens. It was in Peter's mind, but it was so real that what the vision and the mission was once he woke up. Once he tells them what happened, because no one saw a sheet, that was in his head. Here is what I'm trying to get you to understand. The moment you open your mouth about what Yahweh showed you in your mind, let me go back one more time. Peter's vision, not dream, vision, because he went to sleep, but he was in a vision, a daydream, and he saw this in his head. He saw it in his head, an instruction from Elohim. Now, when Usef, Pharaoh are sleeping, once you enter into that REM state, Elohim likes to talk to you. Matter of fact, he's speaking to just about everyone, saved or unsaved, in their REM state of being. This is why the prophecy said in Joel chapter 2, and what Peter and them talked about in the book Hadassah, when he says he's going to give dreams, old men will dream dreams, young men shall see visions. These are those who are obedient to him. So most people will have dreams like I did, unsaved. And the dream was in my head. The people around me didn't hear it. But once I began to talk about the dream, now the enemy of faith can hear it. Because when Yahweh is speaking to you in your mind, he is using his word that's stored up in your heart. Then he's referencing those points, connecting them for you, and giving you a visual in your mind to know what he's saying. Therefore, you have this dream playing out. The instruction is in the typology and the casting that the dream is giving you visually. The enemy can't hear that. Not until you open your mouth and start telling everybody you had a dream. What's the problem with that? Once you start giving just anybody and everybody your dream, because you're like, I don't know what it means. I had a dream. This guy was doing that, and that person was doing the other thing, and this was over here. And the enemy of faith, whose job is to keep you from coming into faith, now knows what to do to set traps and ambushments against you, so you never get that instruction that Elohim is giving you spiritually. And your mouth is the one that gave it away. Because most of us ignorantly, we tell somebody who we think is spiritual, who we deem should be qualified, and they thinking they so spiritual anyway, and they a seer, and they a prophet of God, and I can take your dream to God. And because you read the story of Usef, you don't realize that there were other people who were spiritual and thought they could read Pharaoh's dream, and they couldn't. And Elohim is very specific about who he uses to interpret dreams. So the moment you have a dream given to you in private by Elohim, because this is why dreams are so important. Are y'all following me so far before I start this next point? Are y'all following me so far? Okay. Now listen. So when the dream is given to you by Elohim in your mind, he gives you a dream when you're sleeping, because REM state means that your brain is like sort of kind of not shutting down, but it's going into rest mode. When you get into that random eye movement, this is a study that scientists and sleep disorders work on. You're in that random eye state of mind. Your body is completely resting. Guess what that means? Your flesh is asleep. Elohim talks to every one of us in our spirit and our soul when our flesh is asleep. That's why you getting 3 to 4 hours mandatory starts that REM state of sleep. If you're not getting past 3 and 4 hours of sleep, you really probably don't really enter into that REM state. I'm not going to debate that and talk about that and argue that point, but just understand that usually kicks in around that 2 hour, 3 hour. Once you get into that deep sleep where you just gone and your eyes is rolling in your head and everybody like, man, your eyes was back and forth. That's random eye movement. So your brain is asleep. Things are being calculated. All the things you took in this day, you heard, you've taken to your ear gate, your eye gate. Those things start to get calculated. Your brain is working while you're asleep because your flesh and your consciousness is not moving your flesh to do things. And the spirit of your flesh is not in operation because your body, your flesh, is resting. Now the spirit of Elohim communicates with your body, communicates with your mind. I know this because I was given dreams I couldn't interpret and didn't understand them, but those dreams brought me to salvation. So the point of what I'm trying to get you to see is that when Elohim speaks to you, your dreams are for you. Your dreams aren't even really about the persons that may be real persons in your lives that you're dreaming about, that may be in your dream. He'll use them as symbols of people you trust, people you don't trust, people you are angry with, people you have forgiven. And those symbols and their involvement typify something, not always the same thing, but they typify something, and the sequencing of that dream gives you how that dream plays out. Now, when you get this information, you are getting it from Elohim while your flesh is asleep, because that's the only time Yahweh can talk to us in most cases, unless we are purposefully and intentionally getting into his word, like on a Shabbat, like the seventh day, when for that whole day, you're giving your mind to him and his word alone, not your thoughts. So dreaming and daydreaming, i.e. visions, are given to you in your head, in your soul, by the Creator who dwells in tabernacles not made by man's hands. So when he sees your flesh is asleep, he starts feeding you information into your mind, directions you should be going into. Some of them will rattle you and make you get concerned. Some of them you'll blow off because they were just movies you had in your sleep. But those dreams are instructions. So when you get those instructions, they're not broadcast all over the neighborhood, are they? They're in your mind. They're in your head. He gives them to you. The moment, and the enemy doesn't know how to stop those plans. He does not know what to do about Elohim's plans for you until you and I wake up and our flesh decides to tell it. You can say, wow. You can put in a mind blow or an explosion or a fire or whatever. Because when Elohim speaks to you, it's supposed to be between you and him, and he'll send you to an interpreter who is legitimately an interpreter to help you understand the symbolisms in that dream, so you know, like Pharaoh, and now we know Usef. Remember, Usef's dreams never got interpreted. Did y'all realize that? Usef's dreams never got interpreted. If Usef's dreams would have gotten interpreted, he would have understood he was going to be Pharaoh's right man at some point. And he could have told his dad, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Yes, brothers, that's what's going to happen. But he didn't know. So even the interpreter can't interpret his own dreams. Y'all need to understand that. So anybody bragging to you usually about being an interpreter, when you have, if Elohim ever uses you to interpret dream for real, you don't want that gift. I promise you, when I hear a dream, I'm like, man, shut up. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. Because now I got to deal with you. Now I got to talk to you. Now I got to explain to you what he just said to me. And I'm going to show it to you, not because I'm a seer in the spirit and I'm a prayer warrior and I'm an intercessory person. No. He lines up all the passages of the writ. And most people around here talking about they can interpret dreams and don't even read the Bible, have yet to read Torah, still reading just the book of Psalms, thinking they're spiritual because they can quote a couple of passages like Jesus wept and can preach Jesus wept or preached the 7 last words on a Christian Easter service. That don't make you spiritual because you preach. So when you actually have that need to understand that everybody does not interpret dreams. Usef, an interpreter of dreams, we know the dream because we read the story. While he was living it, he never got his dream interpreted. His daddy, who we call the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? Jacob is Israel. Clearly, he's a patriarch of our faith, and he couldn't interpret the dream either. So just because somebody is your covering or your pastor, your right rev or your prelate, your magnificent, your overseer, your bishop, whatever you call them, don't mean they can interpret the dream. I'm trying to get y'all to stop talking so much about the plans Elohim has for you. Remember what he told Miriam. He said, Miriam, y'all remember and I read to you earlier. No, we'll be reading it. We'll be reading it later on. But if you ever read with me through Pesach and them coming out of Egypt, Israel coming out of Egypt under the hand of Moshe, the deliverer, you remember that Miriam got to talking to her brother. Miriam's a prophetess. Listen, Miriam, Moshe's brother, the same Miriam that put Moshe on the Nile, pitched a crib with pitch, put it on the Nile, let it down the Nile, kept it from gators eating it, but got it to Pharaoh's sister. That same Miriam, who then was the nurse, as it were, for her brother Moshe when they pulled him from the river. That same Miriam is a prophetess. She is. That's her calling. It's all throughout the text. You'll see it. Now, Miriam, once Moshe is grown, he has left Pharaoh. He's now the king of Israel. Technically, he's the judge of Israel. He's the deliverer of Israel. They are out of Egypt. They've crossed the Red Sea. They are in the wilderness. They set up and built the temple, the tabernacle that Yahweh would for them to build. Once they build this tabernacle, now Miriam is a prophetess. She's a Levite. Her brother Aaron is now made the Gadol Kohanim, the high priest, the same Aaron that went to find Moshe because Yahweh told that man, go find Moshe, and led him to Moshe, brought Moshe back, told him to be Moshe's mouthpiece. He spoke on behalf of Moshe to Pharaoh to let the people go. He is now told by Elohim, get that man's staff, put it in the tabernacle, and I want to make sure that the people know that I want him to be the high priest so they don't think you and nepotism got something going on. So when Aaron goes now, he's the high priest. The tabernacle is made, it's set up, Levi is in order, Miriam is a prophetess, Moshe is basically the king, he's the judge of Israel, Aaron is the high priest, he's over the, so Moshe is over the state, Aaron is over the church. State and church are working together because they both honor the Torah to govern their respective places. And Miriam is a prophetess, famed prophetess. She starts talking to her brother, Aaron, about her brother, Moshe. She don't like that Moshe has married another woman. What? Not an Egyptian. He married a Ethiopian. Thank you, Ethiopian. And Miriam's like, well, I don't like this chick. And Moshe around here talking about he the only one to hear from God. We hear from God too, don't we, Aaron? Aaron, you are the high priest. Listen to what I'm telling y'all before you think I'm just trying to talk. Miriam snaps at Moshe's choice to marry an Ethiopian woman. This promotes Miriam, the prophetess, in the camp, and Aaron, the high priest of Israel, to start talking about their leader behind his back, not just their leader for the nation, but their brother. They all preserved and saved to come into the omen of his life. Now they talking about him behind his back. Moshe don't even know they talking about him. But here's the point why I brought that story back to your remembrance. Yahweh hears Miriam and Aaron talking behind Moshe's back. Yahweh then says to them in their minds, all of y'all meet me at the tabernacle door. They all come. Moshe gets there. He's clueless. Miriam gets there. Aaron gets there. They like, what's up? Yahweh starts to go in on Miriam and Aaron. And he tells them, how dare you? Moshe like, what's going on, Elohim? Moshe is like, okay, well, let me just listen. He's listening to Yahweh tell these two off. Y'all didn't read this in your Bible? Oh, let me help you. We'll get to it later. So when Miriam and Aaron are being told off by Elohim, he says, how dare you? Listen, how dare you, prophetess and high priest? Not any priest. This is the high priest, the only one who can go. Moshe can't even go behind the veil. Moshe is the king. He is Moshe, Elohim's prophet, but only the high priest can go behind the veil and touch the Ark of the Covenant once it's been set up. And they pull the veil closed. Only once a year at Yom Kippur can Aaron, the Gadol Kohanim, go behind the veil. Moshe can't even go. So Aaron is the leader of the tabernacle. Yahweh says to him, why did y'all do this? Miriam bragging about she's a prophetess, saying, Moshe think he the only one here from Elohim. We hear from him too. I'm a prophetess and you the high priest. Yahweh heard that. He told Miriam and Aaron, I speak to you in dreams and sometimes in visions. How dare you speak about Moshe the way you did behind his back? I speak to this man face to face. I talk to you in dreams and visions. Now, for those of you who've never had that story slowed down for you to understand that, my point to that, which is my vetting of the fact that I've just given you previously, that Elohim speaks to you privately in dreams and visions for the typical man. There are very few people ever to walk the planet like Moshe, who Yahweh speaks face to face to. They couldn't handle that. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is Miriam is the prophetess. Everybody in the camp, all of Israel, knew that she was a prophetess. And Aaron is the Gadol Kohanim. He comes by, they respect, they reverence. He's the head of the tabernacle. He goes in and commits the sacrifices and instructs all the Levites and the priests to do the things of the Torah. He is like the second in command. But Yahweh tells them, I talk to y'all in dreams and visions when I talk to y'all. I talk to Moshe different. So chick, you out of order. You way out of order. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull you off the earth right now. And Moshe had to intercede, like, Yahweh, I didn't know they was talking about me. And please, that's my brother, that's my sister. And he intercedes for them. Please don't let them. I mean, come on, Father, your word, you don't. And he starts interceding for them right there. Now, why did I bring that up? Because I wanted to prove to you in the great little story that the narrative here that I want to extract is that Miriam and the Gadol Kohanim are told, I talk to you in dreams and I talk to you in visions. So I want you all to understand your pastor, your favorite priest, your favorite prophet is only talked to in dreams and in visions, just like you. And all of that is in private. He didn't come down like he did off the mountain to all of Israel and say, through the thundering and the lightning, I am Yahweh. He gives you your dreams so he can talk to you, specific to you, because you're unique, you're wonderful, you're fearfully made, and the dynamics of you are about you and him. So those dreams are in fact instructions. Those visions, they are in fact instructions. And you should keep them in your mind. And as Miriam did, ponder that in your heart. Now listen, Remember Miriam, the mother of Yeshua? Now we're going to skip to the New Testament. We're still talking about dreams. I want to give you 2 or 3 witnesses to prove what I'm telling you. Miriam is now overcome and overshadowed by Ruach HaKodesh. And Elohim appears to Miriam and says, you're going to bear a child. Elohim appears to Miriam and says, you're going to bear a child. You think she was awake or you think she was walking? You think she was asleep? So when she finally wakes up, she says, and the Bible declares, she pondered this in her heart. She didn't mutter it out in public. You know why this is important? Y'all ready for a mind blow? Y'all ready for a stick of dynamite to blow? Are y'all ready for this? I don't hear y'all now. Y'all not ready for this.
Ready.
All right.
Ready.
Hold on to your lace fronts. Hold on to your lace fronts, because I hear that glue is pretty bad these days. It's not as secure as it used to be. Y'all hold on to them. Hold on to your fedoras, brothers. Hold on to it. Ladies, watch your eyelashes. Don't flash them too fast when this happens, because it can happen, okay? I want you to hold on to it. Watch your nails. Don't click them too hard, because I don't want them to break. All right, brothers, be careful. Don't laugh too hard, because that shirt you got on is really tight, and I want them buttons flying off, okay, brothers? Y'all just chill. But get this. Do you know why it was important for Miriam to ponder in her heart what the dream and the vision and the actual visitation of Elohim was to her, to tell her, you're going to carry the Savior? You know why she had to ponder it in her heart and couldn't tell it to everybody? You know why that is? Because if she had spoken it, the enemy of faith would have known she was carrying the Messiah. Do you remember that Satan was trying to figure out whether Yeshua was the Messiah? Oh, this gets deep. Yes. So now what happens next? You see, Messiah lives 30 years. He's taken up on a mountain by Satan, and Satan does not know who he is. He says, if you be what I think you might be, turn this stone into some bread, because if you be the son of Elohim, the prophecy, then you'll turn that stone into bread and I'll know it's you. The problem is, for 30 years, because Miriam pondered the vision, the instruction for her life in her heart and never spoke about it, the enemy of faith does not know who Messiah is. So when you take your dreams and just go shelving them and telling them to anybody, your psychiatrist, your psychologist, your pastoral counselor, your favorite preacher, prophet, seer, interpreter of prayer, whatever you think, and you're just giving this stuff out, you're letting the enemy of faith know how to stop you from what Yahweh has given you instructions to do, which are interpreted in those dreams. See, Miriam pondered it in her heart. She got it in her head. She stored it in her heart. And she said, be it unto me as thou hast promised. Be it unto me as thou hast spoken. And she pondered these things in her heart, not with her girlfriend, not with her cousin Elizabeth, not with her husband to be. Because if she had talked about it, the enemy of faith would have known what to focus in on. That wasn't good enough to say, wow, ouch, nothing. Okay, let's keep moving. So let's look now at Usef's dilemma. Now, the reason I've raised this issue up about the dreams is, y'all always know, many of you are forfeiting what Elohim has for you because you talk too much. You get a dream and you just run tell your prayer partner, who I'm glad they're saved, I'm glad they got faith, but you only tell your dream back to the Father so the Father can tell you where to go to have it interpreted. I promise you he'll do it. You keep giving your dream to your friend, your pastor, your cousin, or putting it on Facebook, social media. I dream this, and God, you will first off, because you don't know how to interpret. I know what the dream means because I was in the dream. You're stupid. I said it. You don't know. This man who has the greatest interpreting of dreams on 3 accounts could not interpret his 2 dreams, but he could interpret someone else's 3 dreams. So just because you were in the dream, he was in the dream. He couldn't interpret it. He didn't know what it meant. If he did, he might not have been so upset when he got traded and put in the pit, then put into prison. Then he understood why he was at the palace. He still didn't get it. I don't know if he got it until before he left this planet. But you and I have the advantage because we're reading the text, we're reading the writ of his life and those events that are specifically around what he was able and understanding to do. Now we know the whole story. We have the hindsight. As a great man used to say back years ago, Paul Harvey, now you know the rest of the story. So Usef was a great interpreter. He couldn't interpret his own dreams. So when you tell me I had a dream, I know what the dream means. I'm going to tell you exactly what I say. Can I say, I'm going to offend you when I say this, but I promise you, I don't always say the right thing. And I say what I say what I say in my head. I might not say it to you, but let me tell you what I'm thinking when you tell me I know what the dream means because I dreamt it. It was my dream. I was in it, and I know people in the dream. In my head, here's what I'm saying. Can I reveal this to y'all without y'all judging me?
Yes, please. Yes, sir.
Can I reveal to y'all what I'm thinking when you tell me I know what the dream means? I don't need to get it. Yeah, I know what the dream means, and I had a dream, and I interpret the dream. Here's what I'm saying in my mind. I want y'all to know this. I'm gonna say it in my head. I'm like, bless you, child. You so stupid. That's what I'm thinking in my head, but I know I can't say that because I'm from the hood. That's how we talked in that way. I'm just putting it out there. That's what we did. That's how I talk. My mama raised me that way. But when you come to me with that, and I'm knowing what I know, I'm like, you so special. So should I use special instead of stupid?
Special is better.
Well, special is better, but if I say, but that's like a cuss. That I don't know. I wonder. Can I ask y'all a question? Because I'm wondering, because I hear people saying, well, you shouldn't use cuss words. So let me ask you a question. If you use the SH word, excrement, SH, the 4-letter word for excrement, and you use that word, and now you get saved, instead of using the 4-letter word, you now use the 5-letter word, sugar. Don't you still mean the 4-letter word, though you using sugar?
Do. Yeah.
So are you lying? I think you lying at that point. That ain't really what you want to say. I'm just trying not to get caught up in a lie. That's all I'm saying. Can y'all help a brother out? Can y'all figure this out for me?
It is what it is. I didn't say it.
You get the dilemma I'm in. I'm just putting it out there. Nobody else understands me but Karen Parrish right now. Nobody understands what I'm saying except for Karen. So you talking about sugar? My finger hurt. That ain't what you was gonna say. Sugar go in Kool-Aid. Y'all don't want to talk to me. Okay. So I'm just trying to keep y'all from lying to yourself in your head. All right, so let's move on. Only 2 people laughing at that. I'm gonna be in trouble. Pastor Tally, you must be a Christian. Talking about evolve to sugar. I'm not evolving to no sugar. Pamela Ray said, I call it Christian cursing. So sugar is Christian cursing. You ain't saying sugar. You know what I mean?
Sugar ain't good for you.
So here's what I'm going to say. Now watch this. If sugar ain't good for you, why you call your little grandbabies, come here, sugar? So you cussing at them now? You see my conflict? I'm just putting it out there. You can't have it both ways. You kiss your husband, come here, sugar. You kiss your wife, come here, sugar. So I mean, what is it? I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. You can't have it all them different ways. Elohim is the same yesterday, today, and forever.
Words have several meanings.
I'm just saying, my God is the same. All right, so Y'all get this. So let's now look at this. Who's that? Simon Blessed talking about context. No, that's Yolanda. Context is everything. Pamela Rose is like context. Hey, sugar. Now either sugar gonna be for Kool-Aid and sugar gonna be for your sweetie, but you can't substitute sugar for the other excrement word. You can't do it. Okay. So here's the point. When you think you understand what Elohim is doing and he has given you a proven process, you invoke what we talked about last night from Isaiah 55. Yahweh is like, my thoughts are not like your thoughts. My ways are not like your ways. So when you think you understand him because he gave you a vision in secret, my point to you all is this. Take the vision he gives you back to him first. Refresh it in your mind. Speak it to him. Speak it to him. And then he will guide you as to where to go to get it interpreted. Look at the process. Even Pharaoh spoke it to his little cronies. They didn't get it. But a guy who received a benefit from an interpreter, unexpected, said, hey, Pharaoh, my bad. I forgot. I know a guy. And I know this guy is legit, not like these magicians you got down here, because everything I dreamed, and then when he told me what my dream meant, you did it. So that was the one thing I wanted to give y'all so you can understand how when you read the writ from the Torah, you understand practical applications for your lives and our lives today. Don't share your dreams with people. Stop it. Share it with the Father once you get it. Make it your business to get up out your dream. If it's something that compelled you to think, made you wake up in a cold sweat or nervous when you got up or contemplating it when you got up, write it down, but give it to the Father. He will guide you to who can interpret it for you. Many of you are calling these prayer lines and calling these basically Christian psychic lines, talking about I'll interpret your dream for $39.95 and give it back to you on a CD, and you can keep that CD forever. Well, a dream is an instruction for today that's going to help you tomorrow. And tomorrow is sufficient for itself. So you don't need it for, stop getting hoodwinked, snookered. Okay. So these are the things that I want y'all to really consider and look at. Stop running to, well, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to get this. Give it to the Father. Ponder it where? Like Miriam did, the mother of Yeshua. Where did she ponder it? In her heart. She didn't sit around with a bottle of Moscato or a cup of ginger tea and talk about it with her prayer band, her prayer group. He didn't go to the man cave, to the cigar lounge, and or to, wherever he has his drink and talk about it with his pastor. They didn't run to their pastor's office. They didn't run to she did not run to the high priest with this dream, did she? Did Miriam run to the pastor? Did she run to the temple? Did she run to the synagogue? What did she do?
No, she didn't.
She pondered it in her heart. Her cousin Elizabeth was a Levite. Her and her husband. She didn't go there. She didn't go to the priest. She did not go to Zechariah. She did not go to him and say, hey, I had a dream. She pondered it in her heart. And for many of you, you have to think on that dream. Yahweh will bring that dream, that instruction, to the right ears. It'll creep out of you before you realize it. When you get around a person that does this, the moment they hear you talk, and if Elohim finds that if this is the place Elohim led you to, you'll be led there, won't even know you're about to tell this dream. Just like Usef and this chief baker and chief the cupbearer, the butler and the baker. They didn't know Usef. They were having a dream, and Usef just happened to be around, and they started talking. And then he's like, okay, well, here's what your dream means. You won't even know. You'll just be talking. And when you are in a place that you can talk, it'll just come out of your mouth. You won't even know why you're sharing it. The enemy of your faith won't even know why. And it'll just come out. And next thing you know, that person will tell you exactly what that dream is. I'm telling you what I know, not what I heard. So stop running to somebody talking about, oh, I got a dream, I need to get it interpreted. Unless you know that person is a legitimate, and I do mean legitimate, interpreter of dreams. Everybody's not. I just need y'all to do that so you can stop thwarting and giving the enemy the playbook of Elohim ignorantly. For lack of knowledge, a people perish. If y'all can say that's practical application, I'd appreciate it. All right.
That's practical application.
So now let's move on a little bit here in this next passage. All right, so let's get back to the writ. So I just wanted to point that out from the story. We're in Leviticus, we're in Genesis, we're in Bereishit, chapter number 41. We're at verse number 36. Okay. Now I want y'all to pay attention to this because there should be something else in here. Now, Mar Ab Marie, I saw something. I think I saw something on Facebook or YouTube. Mar Ab Marie puts a question up on the board. She says, earlier you read Potiphar as Potiphar. Are they the same person? Yes.
Also, Daphne.
Okay, Daphne, what you got?
I'm gonna need some clarity because I was struggling with that. So we're talking about the Potiphar and the other Potiphar. Is that what we're talking about?
Okay, so you got two things here. You got Potiphar here, and you got another passage. Remember, this is being written and it's being done. So Potiphar is Potiphar. Now, so you have in 41:45. You have Usef called Pharaoh called Usef's name Zephanath Paneah, and he gave him a wife, Asnath, the daughter of Potiphar, okay, who is derivative of Potiphar in Egyptian, Potiphar. All right. Now that's his name. Now, if you go back to 39:1, Potiphar is in fact Potiphar, also a derivative of Potiphar. So these are two names. And the issue is Potiphar was so connected to Pharaoh that though Potiphar was the captain of the guard, he could also be dually an individual who was a vizier to him. And you can call him a priest, not necessarily that he was so goofy spiritual. But remember, Potiphar was able to identify that the presence of Yahweh was on Usef. You remember this?
Oh my.
Right. So if Potiphar is just the captain of the guard alone, how is he so spiritually inclined that he knows the presence of Yahweh is on this man in his home? Now you'll say, well, it ain't written out that way. Potiphar and Potiphar are, in fact, we believe through the studies that we've had that this is the same person. And here is why, because Potiphar is the Potiphar that we have here, it is believed, also had children with his wife. Now Potiphar, right?
Daphne.
So now they have a child. So her daughter, their daughter, whether it's the same wife or another person, Potiphar's daughter, Asenath, is in fact who we're talking about here. Daphne, what's your question?
Apostle, I'm sorry, but so we're saying Potiphar, the one that was in 39 and the one that's in 41 are one and the same.
Correct.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Yahweh, pray.
Now, y'all be careful out there, because once y'all start talking about this stuff and you get this stuff in your head, ponder it in your heart. The moment y'all start talking about this stuff out there to other people, y'all get on platforms and start bragging about what y'all learned. Not you, Daphne. I'm talking about everybody. Be careful, because you have people who actually contend with a whole bunch of doctrines about what happened in Egypt, what goes on with these different demigods of Egypt, and what they meant and what they did. Ponder it in your heart. Let Yahweh begin to reveal it before you start speaking out about it, because if you're just learning it, people are going to pick it apart with your head. And then you're going to find yourself in debates. And then it's going to get convoluted, and you're going to wonder, okay, what the heck? And I don't know what to think. And then you're going to be frustrated. And I hate and despise the word confused as a believer, but people oh man, the word right on the tip of my tongue. They become bothered, and they lose that confidence that they know what they're talking about. So it is believed by me and the spheres that I study with that the same Potiphar, are in type the same. Potiphar is also the captain of the guard. He is also that close to Pharaoh, and that's what they would do back in that day. Their marriages were based on who was around them so that they can keep some sense of royalty and that sense of loyalty from who they did what with. So Pharaoh gave to Usef Asphanath. Okay, and that's why he names him Zaphanath Paneah. And when he does this, he then is given Asenath to marry. All right. Now, one of the things that we want to make sure we understand, let me make sure we get this straight, because I want y'all to move on from this and move quickly down to verse number 43. Great question, Ab-Marie, and great point. You're welcome. Okay, everybody, I see no more questions. All right, so let's keep reading the text we got today. Verse 40, we're going to pick up now. I stopped at verse 36, the dreams. One of the things that you should look at here with Pharaoh in this chapter is that Pharaoh realizes in chapter 41 verse 36. Now let therefore Pharaoh look on a man who is discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Pharaoh did this. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and then they will take up a fifth part of the land of Egypt in 7 plenteous years. Verse 35, and let them gather the food of the good years. Verse 36, the food shall be in store to the land against the 7 years of famine. Verse 37, and a thing of good, and the thing was good in the eyes of Pharaoh and all of his servants. Pharaoh said unto his servants, can we find such an one as this, a man of whom the spirit of Elohim is in? Now remember, they got a whole bunch of demigods. Potiphar knew also the spirit of Yahweh was upon this man. Pharaoh was noticing the spirit of Yahweh is upon this man, and they got a whole bunch of other demigods. Notice they said specifically Elohim. Verse 39, Pharaoh said to Usef, for as much as Elohim have shown you all these things, there is no one more discreet and wise than you are. You're going to be over my house. And according to my word, according to your word, everybody that I rule will answer to your word. Only my throne will be greater than you. Pharaoh then said to Usef, see, I have set you over all the land of Egypt. Pharaoh took off his ring, put it on his hand. Now, the passage of the writ that comes to me, is pretty clear. If you be faithful over a few things, Yahweh will make you ruler over much. Usef was faithful over his father's house, which was a lot. But even under duress and slavery and imprisonment, he was still faithful over Potiphar's house, then over the prison, and then over the nation. Literally over the nation. So I want y'all to consider this because it's extremely serious. Some of y'all have said, I'm on my 4th time of doing something. I'd have been fired from this job. I'd have my family throw me away and disown me. I've disowned my own family. I've been betrayed by peers. Every time I get up, I'm falling back down. Usef has been put into slavery by people he loved and trusted, then lied on by people he did his very best for. Then forgotten by people he did good to. So what I'm trying to tell y'all, before he got elevated, some of y'all been through a whole bunch of different tracks and courses. And what I want to tell you and even tell myself is just stay the course. And it's weird because we're in a season, this first 31 days of doing this 31-day Ephesians 6 challenge, where we're reading Ephesians 6, 5 through 9 every day. Remember, Usef personified Ephesians 6, 5 through 9. He gave unto his master his all, not with eye service like as men pleasers. And when he became a master, he treated them that were his subordinates with the same honor. Usef personifies Ephesians 6, 5 through 9. The man was loyal to his father. He didn't cheat him. He was loyal to his slave owner. Didn't cheat him. He was loyal to the prison. Didn't cheat it. And then he was rewarded for that. No man, his whole time of coming through all of those ordeals, proved his discretion and proved his wisdom and proved his ethic. So when Pharaoh makes this statement here, he is not just talking off the top of his head. He's telling you, there is none that I can trust to do this. There is none as discreet and as wise as you are. Pharaoh knows the story of Usef. He knows he's been in Potiphar's house, turned his house around. He knows he's been in a prison, turned his prison around. And now he's got this information. Is it just some odd coincidence you're here while I'm going through a crisis and we're about to come into an event that we have time to plan for? What you did at Potiphar's house and what you did at the prison? There's no report of you ever coming back and talking negative about Potiphar putting you in prison, though we know his wife was a trick. I'm sorry. His wife was a trip. There's no report of you coming back and trying to go after the guards or the butler and the baker who treated you badly while you were in there. You actually gave them insight and information that would get them out and proved it. So there is none who has a reputation like yours, Hebrew. Some of y'all, we got to understand. Yahweh want to see how you operate in your crisis. Rabbi, Moshabai. Listen, instead of crying and moaning and moaning about it, get your head down, and wherever you are in that situation, no matter what state, Paul says, no matter what state I find myself in, I have learned to be content. Just be like Usef. Just be like Paul. Wherever you find yourself, Yahweh did not give you more than you can bear. Hunker down. There is a treasure trove in that space. If you stop throwing the mud and the dirt of that pit around, trying to get yourself out instead of work in that pit. You might be down there in that pit and you think it's to put you to death, but you may be down there by Elohim's design to, on the low and on the big vision, make it a space that others can live. Make it a space that others can survive. Make it a space that is going to be as he has divined. And all of this is when we get past our flesh. And though we get shot down, though we get pushed down, though we get thrown down, though we get betrayed, wherever you are, hunker down and do what's right. If they got you and you happen to be subservient, give them service as if it was freedom and you were with your partner in business. Be what you are supposed to be as if you were doing it unto Yahweh your Elohim, whether you are bond or whether you are free. And when you are faithful over a few things, Yahweh will make you ruler over much. But when you start complaining about your boss, it ain't your boss's problem. That's not your boss. You don't wrestle against flesh and blood. You never know whether the situation you're in is to help somebody else see 3 issues up, or maybe this might be your 3rd issue, however you handle the last 2, to whether or not you are someone whose reputation precedes them. All these people I got here, all these viziers, all these wizards, all these captains, none of them can do this. Only you have the restore. Only you have the reputation. Only you have the history to do this. And guess what? I don't really know you, but your reputation precedes you. And I'm going to make an unprecedented move. Barring my throne, you have control over everything that I have. And everybody who oppressed you and put you in prison, even this cupbearer who forgot about you once he got out of prison, you're over all of them. See, I've learned that I got to be quiet sometimes, no matter who betrays me, no matter what they put me in the middle of, no matter what goes on, no matter how I got there. I've got to remember that when I'm giving service, I got to give service as if I'm giving it unto Yahweh, no matter how I feel about it. I'm sure he didn't feel good about it, but he never complained about it. You never hear tell he complained about his brothers. You never hear tell he complained about Potiphar's wife. You never hear tell he complained about Potiphar listening to his wife. You never hear tell how he complained about the butler and the baker that treated him wrong. You never hear tell how he complained about the butler who forgot to mention him as he promised to do. You never hear tell him doing that, but yet he gave everything that he had. So that's where we need to be. Remembering how Usef operated. You also see that very same trait in Yeshua. Like a lamb led to the slaughter. Like a sheep before her shearers. He never said a word. He never complained. And to do away with the myth within Christendom that Yeshua got on the cross as the lamb to take away the sins of the world and got there and said, my God, why have you forsaken me? He never did that. That was not what he said. What he said was Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani, and it was Aramaic because that's how he learned language. His first language was Aramaic, not Hebrew, though he spoke it well because they're sister languages. He spoke in his time because he cut his teeth in Egypt. He was saying Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. So that same phraseology in Aramaic says, my God, for this purpose have I come. He never said, why have you forsaken me? That's what it means in Hebrew. He never complained. And so many of us have to realize that we have to take the initiative to be bigger than the circumstance. And whoever has us, whether it is a slave owner, and I'm not talking about I'm not talking about slavery. I'm talking in metaphorical terms here. Because your boss, you're a slave to your job. Technically, some of y'all are slaves to your marriages, right? Whatever it is, you give service as if you're giving it unto Yahweh. Stop the complaining. Elevation's coming. If you can just hold on, hold tight. Now, I'm not telling y'all to be the good old boy, the good old girl. I'm telling you, be respected, demand respect, but be respectful. You'll be surprised. The pit you may have been put in, the prison they may have put you in. But if you're going to be faithful, even in those situations, he'll make you ruler over the palace and thereby ruler over the province. That's the power of our Elohim. Are y'all understanding this?
Yes, sir.
All right, we've gone a whole hour and a half, so we have to come back here. Moderator, somebody let me know we stopped at verse 45. Well, I hope that helped. All right. Any questions? Last question before I let y'all go. We got 6 minutes. Anyone?
Wanda, 10 o'clock.
All right, Wanda, go.
There's a question on Facebook from Dr. April Howland. It says, what is the difference between Potiphar the guard and Potiphar the priest? I stepped away for a moment.
We just went through. Yeah, they stepped away for a moment. What?
She said, I stepped away for a moment. I might need to press replay.
Yeah, we just went over that. Yeah, it's just back up about 4 minutes, and you'll get who Potiphar, what Potiphar, the difference between Potiphar, the priest of On, and Potiphar, who is also the captain of the guard. So there is no difference. They are the same. Okay. Any other questions?
No, sir. Not on Facebook.
All right. All right. Now, I want y'all we'll come back tomorrow or next week, and we'll pick up in chapters number 41 and go down to chapter 42 and get out of here on that passage, and we can keep it moving. Father, we thank you for your word and will. We ask you to give us your grace and your power and your spirit. We pray that all words of yours be true and spoken and resounding in our hearts. Help us to understand how to interpret dreams, or help us to understand what you mean in the process of interpretation of dreams, and bring us to a reality that brings glory to your name in all things that we do. I ask you now that you would cause these words to resonate in our hearts and our minds. In the precious name of Yeshua HaMashiach, we say and we pray. Amen. Now may Yahweh bless you all and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and be gracious unto you. May Yahweh lift his countenance upon you and cause you and grant you all 13 attributes of his shalom. This we pray in the matchless name of Yeshua HaMashiach. We say and we pray.
Thank you for tuning in today. I hope that this message has been a blessing to your very life and your soul, and more importantly, your walk with the King. Well, we have come to the end. I hope that you would consider becoming either a partner with us in ministry, or if you're not already a kingdom citizen, consider becoming one. By doing that, you can sow into this ministry so that we are able to continue to teach this type of ministry at a grand scale. Join us on all of our social media platforms and visit our webpage to make your contributions sure. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Shalom Aleichem.
If you need truth, this is the place for you. Don't need to complicate it. It's best to keep it basic. Open the book, the word is self-approved. He's Alpha and Omega, the answer since the early ages. What you should do is learn about the greatest. Just so you know, our door is always open. Let's study together instead of debating. Share our differences, let love heal all that's broken.